What's up, guys? It's King Daddy D-Mac, and welcome back to another episode of Hermit Feed the Beast, playing with the Monster Pack on the Hermitcraft server. And man, oh man, have I been busy. How have you guys been doing? Well, let me show you what I've been doing. Let's switch around. For one, I put in, I think, at least one more extreme voltage windmill, so those are going well. I got 3 of them, so we're almost at the 8,000 mark. I have 3 of them going through over to here, and of course I'm bottlenecking on power because I'm not using that much yet, but I want to get to at least one more so we can get to that 8,000 what's her extreme ultra voltage. I got another one over here. This one's set up as a second windmill. This is doing our UU matter. And then our final windmill, this one is dedicated to our AE. So now our power is pretty much, I've weaned myself off of our charcoal from the old tree farm, the old tree base, and now just pretty much exclusively running off of the windmills. So that's cool. Now, frame rate has been getting really tight around here. Part of that I think is due to, yes, I added in a whole nother section of crops. These are all essence seeds. I know people are like, what in the heck do you need so many for? Let's actually take a look. I just set these up yesterday. We're already at 8,000 and counting extra seeds. So pretty crazy, and our essence is going way up. But of course, you know, that's because we're not really doing quarries to get our ores. We're trying to do it all from the magic crops. Last time we set up this little thing, this was how we're getting our essence seeds through this little Smurf type thing. And I set up a different automation for this guy, I believe, than last episode. And here we're just inserting bone meal into an autonomous activator, and it's doing all that. And I reset this up. You guys let me know in the comments. Thank you. With the bones, if I want to make the bone meal, let's just see if I can get the uses here. Is there going to be a bone meal? Is sure? Okay. So to get bone meal, we can do it in the macerator, and that's what I had set up for last time. Sorry, that's so loud. But it actually, if I just clicked one more over, the pulverizer with the bones gives us 6. So that's actually a lot better. So I set up this little system here. When we have over 10,000 essence, it puts in a signal, which is going to send in the bone essence, which then in this cyclic assembler will make bones, then pump out into the pulverizer, which will then make bone meal and then be inserted over here for the bone meal when we have an excess of 5,000 bone meal. So I thought that was pretty cool. Wanted to show you that. Another big thing, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I feel like such a noob to not realize this. This whole setup that we did with all the hoppers and everything, it's cool and all, and we'll use that for XP, but it's really not necessary because with the Block Breaker Plus, I did not realize this, but if you just put an inventory on the back of it, it will, and I think probably any side of it, it will just spit into there instead. So let's just check that out. Quartz is currently the only thing that I'm putting through here, but let's make 4 stacks of that, and it's then just going right into here into the exported items. So much cleaner, so much better. I can't believe that I didn't realize that. But later on when we get stuff, I don't believe the quartz gives XP. So later on, we'll have use for those hopper things and everything. But anyway, much cleaner, much better. Everything is doing well. We got to do something about this frame rate. As you can see, I told you guys, I asked you guys last episode what other mods you wanted to see me get into, and I said that modular force field systems was something that I was very interested in. And you guys, most of you seem to agree. So I think just because it's gonna be very useful for me for the near future and expanding on with our base, I think we're gonna start to get into that today. Before we can do that though, we've got to set up a way so that we can link all of our system from this base to where we're going to move to. And keep in mind, the whole theme that I'm doing here isn't going to be just a single island. I'm doing a void world so that our frame rate, whenever it gets, you know, too high, and also we're going to have better frame rates in a void world, but we're going to just make another island and then be able to walk through a portal, and it'll be as if it's all one big base, but it'll all be separated. So we have to have a way to link those different bases. Thank goodness AE has a way of doing that. So why don't we go ahead, get into that first. I've done this before in other seasons. We are going to make a quantum link chamber. And what that basically is, it's going to end up looking like a thing like this, where you take the quantum field rings, and these guys, recipe, real quick, very simple, not too bad at all. You're going to take 8 of them, and you're going to link them across like that, and then in the middle, it's a little bit more expensive because it takes these flux pearls. I guess it's not really that bad, but anyway, it takes longer for me to craft. That's going to go together, and that's going to make a whole quantum linking chamber ringy thingy. Then, based on what you put inside of this, you can link this to remotely anywhere else in the world in any dimension, and it will link up that AE system and this AE system. So basically, we'll be able to use our inventories and all of our automation anywhere, which is pretty sweet. So the big thing is, how do we get that little thing that goes in the middle? Because it takes a little bit of time, I already did up some of them, but I'll show you the process in case you don't know how to make a singularity and then turn it into an entangled singularity for the quantum thingy. So you're going to want to make an ME condenser to begin with. And this bad boy, yeah, it's really not expensive at all. So let's see, I need to be somewhere, I guess we could kind of do it. We'll make a little bit of a mess, but we can probably end up doing it from right here. So let me bring out some wires just so that we can, if we need to, link this in. I'm expanding my power over here. That's what's going on with all this stuff. It's not hooked up yet. So once we actually get to it, we'll talk about it. May not be today, just to give you a heads up. Okay. So this bad boy right here, let's give it one more space out. I'm going to set in, and let's take a look at the GUI of it. Basically, you pump in items into this, and you can either destroy the items, make it into condensed matter balls, or in our case, make it into a singularity. So we're going to want a singularity. Now, there's also a couple of different ways of doing this, but let's play around with it because it's been, I did it one way. We'll play around with some other ways of doing it. So basically, you take whatever item that you want to junk, kind of like when you're doing UU matter, how you make it the scrap out of recycle. This is kind of a similar concept where you're just deleting items to be able to use that item to get something better. So we want the singularity. We are going to want to probably use cobble because cobble is our most abundant resource. Let's switch this around to number of items. So we're at nearly 5 million, 4.5 million. So let's use this cobble. And we have it set on singularity mode. I don't think if you pump it in right away, it actually does anything. Let's just find out here. So right now I'm pumping it in. It says 0 energy accumulated. So you're going to want to put into it a storage cluster. I'm not sure if you need the max storage cluster, but that's what I'm using for it, just because I can. And now we can see that cobble's being inputted in, and it's accumulating energy. Now we have to get this to the 256,000 before it makes a singularity. So you can do it this way where you pump it in items. You can also take, this is a storage drive. Let's just look at the inside of this. If I stick this in, this is holding all cobble. And right now it's sucking out of it because it's part of my system. You can also take this and stick this in here, and it goes a good bit faster. And it will empty into it if you want to preset those up. But in any case, you can do that, and you can also just throw a whole bunch of these export buses all around it, and it will speed it up pretty significantly. So let's do this because we're going to want a bunch of singularities. I'll let this run. I think I can use, let me just see this. This neat little thing, this memory bus, I might be able to just have it, not that it's a big deal to set this, but let me find out. If I shift right click on that, saved, and then I export it, will that, yep, see, it puts all the settings from the one onto the other. Neat little thing. You just right click it onto the others. So they're all loaded. And then I can just throw the connecting cable. Boom. Boom. And boom. And this thing should be going pretty dang fast. Look at that. Filling up real fast. And it's still going real fast. Still going real fast. So why don't we cut back in once this reaches its max. All right, so we're just about there. Boom, got our singularity, and all of a sudden it started up on the next one. And this will just keep on repeating itself. And what is this? That's so that you can't shift stuff by mistake into the trash can. You can also just manually put stuff in. But anyway, so that's done. We don't need it going this fast. So I'm going to knock all these guys back off it and just let it finish. And by the way, this doesn't need any power, doesn't need to be connected to anything, and it will go. I'm just going to let it finish sucking out that storage thing. So, that's that. Let's go now figure out how do you turn this singularity into these entangled ones. It's kind of a neat process. Very interesting. Let's go head over to somewhere we don't mind a little tiny explosion going on. So let's go over to the quarry world. And let's just make a little hole. Okay. So what we're going to do, and let's get out flint and steel. Cool. All right. So what we're going to do here, and we also... Sorry. I'm going to turn that off. Coin of fortune. All right. So we're going to take our newly made singularity. And let's first set a little tiny TNT in there. Now these tiny TNTs, they're real cheap. 2 quartz, 2 gunpowder, not a big deal. They're more of an anti-griefing type of thing. If on your server you don't want, you can't use TNT, it's like one of those blocks that's blacklisted or whatever. You can still have this, and this doesn't do like significant damage, so you can't really use it as much for griefing. So I believe that's the purpose for that. So anyway, we're going to throw in our tiny ender thing. We're going to throw in our singularity. You only need 1 of each. And I think you might even be able, if you made a bunch of singularities, be able to do it all with 1 explosion. But anyway, let's light this on fire. Isn't that the cutest little explosion you ever did here? And anyway, now we got our singularities. So that's split in half, and now this gives us what we can use for either side of the linking. So let's run back to the base. Cool. Then you can take the singularity. When you right click on the quantum link chamber, it lets you stick in a singularity. So cool. So that would have it be linked up on one side, then we go to the other side that we want linked and then put the other one in. So very cool. Now it is a wise decision, if you're doing this and you're going to have multiple of them, to rename them. You can just go run over to an anvil, what have you, throw it in there, and you can just rename them. So that's how you do that. So let's throw these guys in here. And see how those, that's kind of interesting. I don't think they stack because they're technically different. I wonder how many different ones you can have. They show as the same, but they're different. So anyway, I have this one already renamed to our tree base. So let's grab that. Let's grab this link chamber because we still have to connect this to our AE system, and we also have to give it power. Each one needs its own independent power source that's it's not powered directly by the AE. So let's see if we can find anywhere that we have space. Right down here we should be good. I have this set up so that it's just pulling out of our power, and then hot side right there. So let's go ahead and let's link this in. Again, you're just doing a circle of 8. What's also interesting about this, you don't have to do it vertical. You can also make this horizontal. So you could have it like flat on the ground if that fits in better. I'm not worried about aesthetics right now. I'm trying to hide it. So we have the power going in on one side. We have the AE going on the other. Let's throw in one of our little chamber things. Boom. Now another thing to keep in mind, I believe this has to be the blocks that you're linking in this multi-block structure. It has to be to one of these 4 larger quantum field ring chunks. So notice how it doesn't connect there, but it does connect there. So cool. So that's all set. Let's throw in our side for the tree base. Awesome. And I believe these, it's probably telling you right there, is that 640 MJ that it requires. I don't know if that's what the correct amount is. Let's see how much I've sent over here. For conversion rate, actually, I only have 500 RF a tick going into it. So I believe that's only 50 MJ per tick that it's requiring. I'm going to bump that up just because I'm curious if that had anything to do with some of the lag that I'm doing. But that would be the equivalent to 64 MJ. Or 64 RF per tick if it's the 64. No, that would be 6,000. Yeah, that's completely wrong. So anyway, I think it was around 500 RF a tick that it actually required. So enough rambling about that. You can always just Google that for the exact amount, but it shouldn't pull more than it requires. So anyway, this one obviously being called the tree base, we're going to link up our old tree base. So let's go over to the tree base, and this will make it so that we can access everything. Now I did a little bit of prior setup. So I have this little area over here. I have power. I have the AE system. I also put in a wireless access point, which we never had over here prior, so that we can use this stuff. Let's knock this guy out. And let me turn my coin of suck back on. Otherwise, I'm going to lose something in the episode. Okay. So let's just throw this up, make sure, okay, red side's still out. The blue side is the input. This is coming out of our AE windmill. So let's pop that off, pop that in, boom. All right, we're good. And this one, I'll pump this up too. I know it doesn't really matter. But in any case, let's put in our quantum field ring. Now, beyond powering the ring, I believe all additional powers for this system will come from the required energy over at our controller. I do believe that's how this works. So, boom, and tree base, awesome. So we can see it's all linked up, and that's crafting monitor. And there we go. We can see everything from our other system over here, and I should be able to do it wirelessly as well. Very, very freaking cool. So you can see how useful this is going to be. This is already going cross dimensions. So anyway, why don't we now try and look for a spot that we want to set up for today so that we can start working on our modular force field system and yeah, expand on our base. All right, guys, we are back, and holy cow, time flies. We're already probably close to almost 20 minutes in the video, like 17 minutes. Anywho, this finished right here, the drive, so I'm going to take that out. Let's take out the singularity that I already made, and I want to just, it's important for you guys to know, if I were to pick this up or to take anything out, this is going to delete the excess amount made. So you can do it with a block mover. Is that what that's called again? Yeah, block mover. You can move it, and it will keep the progress that it's made already to save for later. But otherwise, don't mess with it. Let's just dump that stuff out in there. And I don't think we're going to have enough time today to get into MFFS as much as I'd like to, but why don't we go over kind of the basics today, because I did this last season. I'll try and leave a link to the video that discusses this in a little bit more depth. There's a lot of great tutorials. You could easily talk about this just the beginning stuff of the mod for an hour or 2 or 10 if you wanted to. But let's kind of go over what the basic blocks are in the mod. There's not really that many machines, which is pretty simple. There's 6. First thing you're going to want to make is you're going to want to make a cohesion driver, is it called? Yeah, we'll call it driver, even if I'm saying that wrong. Any case, you'll notice this Fortron energy. It's pretty neat. You can basically put EU into this. You can put MJ, RF, probably anything that your mod pack has for power, just about. And yes, it will turn into Fortron, which then is used in the mod for its power. So pretty neat. Now this driver, I guess, is kind of like this is the conversion tool that converts the power, and that's really all this does. And you can either have the derived power, or you could take the power out of your system and have it integrate and then spit it back out into something else, back into your energy cellar, what have you. So convert backwards, if that makes sense. Anyway, other than that, you've got this little thing here that you can toggle on and off for requiring a redstone signal or not to go on and off. I have it all set so that it's just on by default. And then here we have all the different modules. And notice a lot of them are color-coded. There's all these red ones. We'll talk about what those are for in a moment. And it sort of tells you what machines and what goes together and blah, 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 what it's used for. All of them have the description. So in here, I just have speed modules so that it can process through the speed faster, and capacity so that it can make the capacity of this larger right here. So if I were to take this out, boom, it should, let's turn that off, turn that back on, should drop down. I think it's right here you see the capacity, and it's slowly going down. I throw that up, the capacity goes way up. Cool. And then here you can put in, I believe it's just lapis and what's it called, quartz, and it will process a little bit faster. So that's really all that thing does. Now, then you have the main part of your system, the capacitor. This is what everything has to link to. Notice I'm on a frequency of 2 there, on a frequency of 2 there. That's so they link up. If I change this guy's frequency, let's say to 1, link devices, and look at, see all that stopped? It's because none of those are linked up to it. But then if I change this back to 2, then they're all linked up again. So that way you can put onto different signals. You can also make the signal frequency card, which then you can set for the signal. In fact, let me grab all this stuff out because it's probably good for me to have on me while I'm talking about it. But here's your frequency card, and see I have it on the frequency of 2. I can then also, if I wanted to, let's do, I think if I shift and hold it in the air, it makes a random frequency. That way nobody will guess what you're doing. I can then set that to be the random frequency. Do I? Okay, yep, so that got set to the random frequency. That did. That did, that did, that did, and that did. So now everything should be all working on that frequency. We're all set. Didn't have to type in all those random numbers. So cool. Not going to worry about that anymore. All right, so next guy, this thing is going through, it's powering everything. There's different settings for it. And basically right there, it's equalizing, doing equal amount of energy to all the machines. You can change that to now that distributes evenly. That's going to drain completely, fill up something else completely, and equalize. Again, you can go through and read all the settings. For upgrades here, all I'm putting in, again, is the speed, the max stack. You can put multiple stacks in, by the way, if you want to. And then the capacity, so that it gets more space. And then I also changed the signal. So that's cool. Now this guy is then going to be kind of like the MFSU, or kind of like the energy cell for the rest of the system. And I would believe you could probably set up multiple if you needed extra space, although the mod's really been remade over, and I think things require way less power than they used to. So I've been fine goofing around with just this thus far, and we'll see what happens as we move on. So anyway, the next module thingy that we're going to look at is the force field projector. This is kind of what the mod revolves around, or at least it always has. And with these guys, see these ones with the red mode, the red circle around it? These are all going to be what's in the middle. And these are all just different shapes. Cylinder, pyramid, cube, sphere, tube. That's when it's going to be what goes in there. And with this, right now we're on tube mode. Tube's going to be kind of like a tunnel. If we switch this on, see, it made kind of like a tunnel. Pretty cool. And I should probably take the camouflage out so you can better understand that. So this is what the force field thing will look like. It's pretty neat. You can't go through it. Can't really break it. If you do break it, I'm not sure if it's going to cause damage to me now. Let's see. Yeah, see, I'm not breaking it. I used to be able to with the VJJ for a split second, but not able to right now. Pretty neat. You can set it though. I have it set up, and we'll talk about how, but you can also walk right through it if you have permissions for that force field. So it makes for a really cool door. It's a pretty neat, it's a really neat graphics. I love this mod's graphics. Look at that, isn't that neat? So, and you can see that's actually the shape of the thing that it's doing. So pretty neat. So let's shut that one back off. Now then I had the camouflage mod on, by the way, again, just capacity, speed, the scale mode. Let's look at that for a second. Again, I'm trying not to go too crazy into this stuff, but the scale mode, if I only have the 1, it's just doing the 1 in there. And then this is basically just changing the size. So let's add on scale mode. So now that's 1 bigger. See, that makes a 1 little shape in there, only 1 high. So if I did 3 in there, it's making it 3 high. See that? 1, 2, 3. Pretty neat. Then for these other ones, and this probably isn't the best one that I should have started out with, but then you're able to manipulate it a little bit more. So right here, see the 2? If I take that out, It's moved it 2 over. Let's do it again. Let's put that 2 back in. And see, it made it 2 different. So this is a horrible one for me to start off with to try and explain. So let's switch back over. Let's switch over to this cubed one now. Pretty neat. And let's take out the camouflage again on this bad boy so that it's easier to kind of see. So this is the cube mode one. Pretty neat. And this does extend as long as there's space for it. It's extending all the way around. Right now it's not actually going through this block, but if I dig down, all of a sudden, see, it filled in. So pretty neat. It's not going to delete out any of your wires or anything like that. You don't got to worry about it. So that's neat. Now, let's take that back off. And if I put on the camouflage, whatever the block I put in addition to that, it's going to mimic that block. So it's going to look as if it's that block. So pretty neat. And right now, this isn't a real gold block. That is a force field block. You'll see the particles when I'm trying to break it. It's a force field particle, so it's just mimicking it. But it makes for a cool little mock-up. So another neat module, let's see, that we can stick in. Could try the pyramid one. See, so we're going to take that middle one out, and we're going to stick the pyramid in. Let's see what this looks like. And see, you can see whatever module you're putting in right on the top. And boom, we have pyramid, kind of. It's kind of hard to see when it's clear. Let's put in the gold. Cool, so it's making kind of like a pyramid, kind of. Now, why don't we, what these guys are going to do is you're going to be able to move it up, down. However, there's the, is it what I want? Yeah, the translation modules. And this is going to move it a certain distance away. So right now we have it on nothing. Let's move it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's move it up 8. Let's see what that does. So when we do it, okay, that just made it larger 8 blocks, which is not what I wanted. No, I think I wanted the scale. Hold on. Wow, so I'm kind of a doofus. It was doing what we wanted. I just didn't realize it. So if I have the 4 in there and I turn this on, check that out. See, here's the bottom of the pyramid. And it was moving up and it was getting larger, but it wasn't moved up enough. So let's take this off. Let's move this up like 26 blocks. There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted to show. So you can manipulate where you want to put things. And I can have this force field thing here, but then move it like up to, I think, 64 blocks away. Probably even further. No, I think about 64 is probably the max away. So pretty neat. And if I wanted to move it down, let's see if I even have to still turn it off. You used to have to turn it off every time you change the field. So let's say, let's put a dirt block right here. Oh, won't let me. All right, let's put a dirt block there just so that we can see if it changes. All right, so let's... Oh, yep, you can see it. It's reforming itself. Boom, right above our head. Pretty neat. Let's go inside of this. Let's see if this is hollow. It should be. To go through it, I just hold shift. Oh, not letting me, not letting me. Let's see, can I walk through? Nope. I think it's because it's multiple blocks thick, perhaps. So anyway, that's not important. That's just to show you how that worked. So now... another thing that I have, so we have this tube mode one. Let's put the camouflage back on it. So you have this tube mode one that we did, and then let's switch this guy, the pyramid off. Let's put in, let's see, I think I had this two like that. All right, so this should be good, and let's put in the sphere module. Okay, and let's take out this. Okay, so we're good. So we have that one right there. If we make this guy the sphere, boom, you have 2 force fields intersecting. Neat, neat, but how does that really help you? It's kind of ugly. It doesn't really look all that great from the inside or out, but we can manipulate this so that they work together with another module. So let me take that one back off. Let's now put in this, where is it? Field fusion mode. And this should fuse the 2 together. This is probably the better angle to do this, huh? Boom! Awesome! So there, we were able to fuse 2 force fields together, make a nice little tunnel going into a cube. Very freaking cool. In fact, just so that we can see this better, since we have our base here, why don't we move these both up? Let's see, the transition is the one that moved it up. So let's move them both up by 11. So that one go up by 11, and let's have this one go up by 11. And by the way, this I just have in because see how this is 2 blocks over? It's just to match the 2 up so that it's moving 2 over to the right. If we're looking at it this way, 2 over to the right, so that the 2 force fields match up and they're not derpy. So they both went up by 11. Let's turn, let's move it up by a little bit more than 11. Let's move it up by, what is that one? That's transition. Let's move them up by 3 more each. So hopefully we're not inside of the force field at that point. Hopefully. Let's see. All right, cool. So there's our sphere. And then there is our tunnel. I think I might have to turn it on the other, or did I take the... All right, let's turn that one back off and then that one back on. And I'm sorry if I'm a little derpy with this, guys, but I'm getting used to it. So it matches up, should be pretty close. Yeah, I could probably move this 2 over in the other direction. Yeah, I think this is supposed to go there. Turn that back off and back on. No, it didn't match up, but it was matched up when I had it down at the base. Anyway, that's not important. This is going to be pretty cool for us to design our base. Now, this is all stuff that's been in the mod. There's been a lot updated, and we're not going to get into that this episode. But these are kind of the derpy basics. If you want to see better explanation of it, I'd go check on another tutorial on the video because there's a lot out there. But anyway, there's 2 other blocks that I just want to quickly cover today just so they're out of the way. This biomatrix identifier, basically here this is just giving you security rights, and you can add in anyone else onto the server that's in the server by taking an identification card and just smacking them with it. To make this card, let me see. To make this card, does that delete it? I forgot how to delete them. So we'll make another one. So if I want to make an identification card, make a blank one. Boom, got a blank one. Okay, so blank ID card. And I can just take this right here and look at the card. If I hold shift and right click, boom, it's got my player face on it. Isn't that neat? And then if you put in the master slot, like I said, it gives that person rights for everything. Otherwise, you can take the card and you can just set down exactly what permissions you want them to have. Then you can just set their card, I believe right down here. Is that where it goes? No. Then we got to make, so that's basically everything for the identifier. Then here, is this here? I thought it was in the other one. I thought there was a place for you to set cards in here. Maybe it's because it's off. Does that turn it back? No, you have to turn it off. That's what it is. So let's give myself rights to everything, even though I already have rights to everything. Okay, just pretending it's someone else's card. Then I can set it there. Then you can turn it on. Then that gives, see right there, username, and it says what all the different permissions are. You can just pull their card right out at any time or change that. There used to be a thing that you could set the amount of time, but I think that's part of the old mod. Anyway, so there's that. Then there's the interdiction matrix. Here you're able to say what items you want to be allowed or banned. So if I wanted to say not allowed dirt, I just have the banned, put the dirt in, and then any person that didn't have permissions in the identifier, I could then go turn this on and have it strip out all the dirt or warn them that they can't have dirt or so forth. Tons of different stuff. And that's what a lot of these guys here are for. These different modules you put into here. So actually there's something that would be kind of useful. Let's just do this module. I don't have to worry about hostile mobs, but you could have something that kills all the different hostile mobs. Friendly mobs, that's what I'm kind of curious about. And what's this one do? Tile entities in a specific reason, anti-spawn. Okay, we're going to do the anti-friendly because I am sick of all the bats spawning at my base. What is taking you so long, buddy? So let me let that craft. Alright, it was just taking so long because I needed to go get more pork because the recipe for this guy... That's not the recipe. The recipe for this guy requires a cooked pork. So anyway, we got that now. So if I didn't want friendly mobs to spawn on our base, I could just throw that down right there. I think that's all I need. I might... It's possible I need something else, but I think that's all I need. And then I can increase... I think it's with the scale... See, it says only warning 3 and the action's only taken 0 spots away. There we go. And then it increases, so now it's within 17 spots. I can keep on pumping that up as much as I want. You can put up to 8 different modules into here, whether it's multiple different stuff or just tons of scale stuff to make it really large. And then, bam, and that makes it active, and it should be frying up any bats that are within 17 blocks. So pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. Anyway, guys, that's going to conclude our episode today. Sorry if it was a little derpy. This is just going through kind of the basics to kind of get you guys up to speed. Barely scratching the surface of the mod and what I'm interested in it for, but it's all important stuff to know so that we can build upon that for next episode. So we'll jump into it right away. If you want more details about what we did today in more depth, I'll try and put a link in the description for the video I did last season. Otherwise, there's something that was really unclear and I wasn't planning to cover it. Let me know and I'll make sure that I get it covered in the next episode. But anyway, it's a very cool mod. I believe it's Calcavia, one of my favorite mod authors. Very cool guy. He has a YouTube channel as well, so make sure to go check him out as well if you want to see some of the stuff that the direction of this mod has taken. We're using one of the 3.6 versions of the mod, I believe. So last time we used it, it was only in like 3.0. So a lot of new stuff. Very, very cool. We haven't even gone over all the blocks. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up because it helps me out oh so much. You have no idea. Really, help support the channel. Make sure to leave a comment about any things or stuff that you want to talk about, want me to go over, what I did right, wrong. It's very helpful. Helps me to realize when I made errors, such as we went over today. And other than that, I think that's going to about do it. We'll get into the cooler stuff come next episode. And that should be probably, I'm guessing, Sunday for the next Feed the Beast. So anyway, guys, thank you, and peace out.